Hey all, how's it going? Today is the day where I reveal some of the biggest and best Black Friday deals for electronic dance music producers in 2024. I'll also tell you the 3 types of plugins you shouldn't invest in. They're going to be a waste of money and they're just going to distract you. And I'm going to let you know the ones that I really recommend depending on whether you're a beginner or intermediate or advanced. There are also a few of them that are offering even bigger discount if you're an EDM Tip subscriber, and I mentioned those as well. I've separated them into different categories like sound generation, effects, DAWs, hardware, and a few other categories to make it easier to refer back to. But I'm not sponsored by any of these providers, this is just my personal opinion. Now before we get stuck in, I just want to say a huge shout out to our accelerator student Zoya, who is doing a guest mix for Anjuna today, so I'll link to that below as well. If you want to actually learn how to use all of this stuff, then you can check out our accelerator program below as well. I've actually got something special coming up for Black Friday, but I'm only offering it to my email subscribers, so you can join the list below if you'd be interested. Plug done. Okay, so first off, there's this website called Plugin Boutique. It's worth checking back every day because if I haven't mentioned any of the plugins in this video that you want, there are loads of great plugins available on this website. It's like the central hub. Okay, boom, that done. The first category is sound generating plugins, and I'm going to start things off with Native Instruments. They've already got their sale going on, so check it out if you want big fat discounts. I particularly love Contact. That's really why I'm mentioning Native Instruments. They've got Contact 8 now, so I'm actually going to upgrade myself this Black Friday. I could do it today actually. But they've got fantastic realistic sounding patches. So if you want really good samples like of guitars, horns, pianos, strings, all of that good stuff, Contact is my favorite personal thing that I use for that. Next, we are going to look at Arturia. Now these guys produce really cool sounding analog modeled synths. So if you like old school kind of 80s and 90s synths, you get loads in the V collection, and they've got a big offer on that at the moment. Oh, nice. Next we have Output, and they've got 50% off at the moment. Now I personally don't use Output that much, but Arcade in particular is super popular with a lot of producers. Now I have got it, and you can come up with some really cool ideas with it. And it's kind of a way of triggering different samples and different effects. So it can be really good if you're creating more like hip hop beats, or if you just want to experiment and find out some really cool ideas and just work with that. Now personally, I like to just program stuff in myself because I'm a control freak like that. But if you do want Arcade and you've seen the adverts for it, now would be the time to get it because you get 30% off at the moment. Right, let's get some synths under our belt. First off, we have Spire by Reveal Sound, and these guys are offering 50% off at the moment, but if you use the special EDM Tips link below this video, you get another 10% off as well. Now, I love Spire for genres like trance. You can just get absolutely huge sounds out of it, and there are so many good presets available. It's used by Ferry Corsten, whom I interviewed on the channel, which I'll link to around there. It's used by Giuseppe Ottaviani, who some of our accelerator students have been supported by, and it's used by Hardwell as well. So that gives you an idea of the kind of music it's great for producing. Again, you can get 60% off using this special EDM Tips code. Next, we've got a bit of a wild card. It is a synth, and it's called Kick 3 by Sonic Academy. And this is a synth for creating kick drums. Now, mostly I like to use just a really good few samples, but I have to say that this plugin is absolutely amazing. You can shape the kick exactly how you want by changing the transients, and you can even drag in existing sampled kicks and then tweak them to be absolutely perfect for your track. You can add new layers like a click layer or a sub layer as well. So I have to say that this is a fantastic plugin, and they are offering a Black Friday discount as well. So if you do want to experiment with kick synthesis, there's nothing else on the market that can compare. Alrighty, for the next plugin, this is Celemony Melodyne, and I would only recommend this to you if you use lots of vocals in your productions and you want really professional control over them, particularly the tuning and the timing. So here we can see I've got a vocal loaded into Melodyne, and I'll give you a quick example of the kind of stuff you can do. So there's our vocal. Now what it allows you to do, amongst other things, is tune the notes in a really natural sounding way. So not only is it great for tuning up your lead vocals, it's really good for creating harmonies as well if you don't have any harmonies recorded. Now I like Melodyne Assistant, that's got the minimum of what I like to use, but for Black Friday you can get 50% off their Melodyne Essential, which makes it only €49, so you can check it out and see if it does everything you need. Alright, so let's get into the effects plugins. So these are the ones that will change the sound that you've already created. And I have to give Waves a mention because that's like the granddaddy of plugins. You can get some insane discounts every time they run Black Friday offers. And I would recommend this for you if you don't have any third-party plugins at all and you just want to get a really good selection and a wide variety. Especially when they run these like $200 for their Horizon package that gives you 93 plugins, stuff like that. There's a few I particularly like from Waves. I like using Vocal Rider, I like CLA Vocals, and in fact I'll show you why I like CLA Vocals. Let's just get rid of Melodyne. It basically makes vocals sound really good really quickly. I know some people slate this, but I like it. So this is when it's off, and this is on. It just compresses it, adds some tight reverb and some stereo width. I also like the RVox compressor. It's just got one control that you pull down. And it's really good at compressing vocals. Now, I'll let you know a bit later on in this video when you shouldn't be buying the Waves plugin bundle, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. Okay, so next we have the FabFilter suite of plugins, and I do actually use these a lot. My favorite is the Pro Q3, that's what we teach with in the Accelerator program, but the Pro L2 is a fantastic limiter as well. If you've got Ozone, and I'll touch upon that in a minute as well, then you don't really need the Pro L2, but the other plugins in the suite are great. The compressors, the reverb is fantastic as well, and you can get 25% off at the moment. Now, something else that we recommend to our Accelerator students is the Sound Toys bundle, and you can get an incredible amount off at the moment. You can get 60% off, or if you're in something like the Accelerator program, you can get the education discount and get way more than 60% off. $99 for the entire bundle that usually costs $500. And this has got some really cool analog sounding effects in it. The Decapitator is fantastic as a distortion unit. I really like using Little Alter Boy because it's really good for formant shifts in vocals. So let's just check that out actually. Echo Boy, again in the Sound Toys bundle, is a really good delay unit. Loads of good features and presets. So yeah, that's very cool as well. Next up is a plugin that is fantastic. Again, if you're working with vocals, it's called SYNTHS, and for Black Friday this year, it's not starting till Tuesday, actually. The price is going from 199 euros to 139 euros. And they do have a couple of other really good plugins as well, actually. I wouldn't recommend this to you if you're a complete beginner because it's just going to confuse you. But for anyone else who's been producing for a bit of time and they use vocals, it's a dynamic resonant suppressor. So you can kind of smooth out vocals and you can actually smooth out the whole master as well. And I've created a video about it there because it's a bit complex to go in for this. But if you do want SYNTHS 2, it's going on offer from Tuesday onwards, so check it out. Okay, next up is Shaper Box 3. Now, if you ever use sidechain compression, and you probably do because everyone does, it's where you can duck things against the kick to allow space in the mix. So for instance, we've got our kick and we've got our bass and they do this. And if we hear, we're making the bass duck every time the kick's playing. That's the most basic form of sidechain compression, and Shaper Box 3 does that perfectly because you can actually really carefully shape the duck, if you will, and that just allows you extra control over getting it sound exactly what you want. But that's like one tiny part of what Shaper Box gives you. There are so many different tools you have within it, and that's why it's probably my favorite out of all of these sidechain compression effects like Kickstart 2 or LFO tool, because you've got all of these other effects built in, and they've got a great offer on at the moment. It's a bunch of money off, so it's $89 instead of $340. So yeah, this is again what we recommend to our Accelerator students just because of the insane value you get. And this is one of those plugins I'd probably recommend to producers of all levels. Okay, next up is an absolute classic of mine and in the EDM tips community, and that is the Sonnox Oxford plugins. They're super high quality. They've got loads of great plugins like the dynamic EQ, the limiter, the reverb, and the transient shaper. I think it's called Transmod. But the granddaddy and the one I love the most is the Oxford inflator, and it's 29 euros instead of 160. This thing will just make everything sound better. That's such a weird thing to say, but it's true. So I've just put this on my master channel and check out the difference it makes. It's like a harmonic exciter, I guess, is the most accurate way of doing it. Check this out. Let's turn it off. Hear how much energy and loudness it brings to it. And it does that without really increasing the peak volume. So it's fantastic for getting separate tracks to sound a bit bigger, but I really love it even just on the master channel and things like the drum bus. So yeah, that's a really good buy. Okay, I'm going to quickly go through the next one because they're a bit more niche. Black Rooster Audio make fantastic plugins if you really want like accurately analog modeled plugins of old EQs, old compressors, things like that. So if you're making something and you've been doing this for a long time, you're going to be able to hear the difference between these and, for example, your stock plugins. Not for everyone, but Magnetite is a really nice tape saturation machine. Then you've got a FET compressor. So if you're using a drum bus and you want something really snappy, that can be cool as well. And they've got their Black Friday deal on at the moment. So yeah, you can check that out. Then we've got AMEC mastering compressor. This is what we teach for mastering in the accelerator. It's one of our plugins that we like to use. This is really good if you want to do your own mastering and you've been producing a while, because there's a lot of nuance in here that newer producers just won't be able to appreciate. But at the moment it's $30 instead of $400, which is crazy. So even if you think that you might get into mastering in a few months' time, it's definitely worth getting. And if you want to know how to use it, then of course you can check out the accelerator. We also use this mastering the mixed bass room as well. Again, it's 30 quid instead of 50 quid. And this is only really useful if you want to do your own mastering. Quick shout out to Baby Audio, because they make some really cool plugins like this Super VHS. If you like making lo-fi stuff and you want to make it sound a bit old and crunchy, that's really good. And it's like $10, so you can't really go wrong. And then we've got Polyverse plugins as well. Some interesting plugins for manipulating your sound, but if you want to check out what they do, I recommend doing a YouTube search to see them in action before committing. And then if you do want to buy them, they've got a great deal on at the moment. Okay, so on to the next category, and that is music making software. I'm going to look at some DAWs as well. And first up is Mixed in Key. This is a range of plugins that help you create melodies, chords, and bass lines. So if you don't know any music theory, this is a really great way to get some good sounds straight away. I'll link to a video I made on how to use it there, so you can check it out. But yeah, this is good. It's used by a lot of artists. And if you want to learn music theory, then you can check out my Music Theory for EDM Producers course as well. Next, we have DJ Studio. So this is a piece of software that I came into contact with the first time last year, and it's had so many improvements since then. Armin van Buuren uses it. So if you're a DJ and you want to put together mixes really quickly, they've got some really good AI tools in this, and you can basically create an hour or 2 hour long DJ mix in about 30 seconds. And it's going to put your tracks in the most sensible order in terms of key, but I like to use it to create remixes because it's got really, really solid AI stem separation. So you can put a track in, grab the vocals, it warps it way better than Ableton, and then you can export it directly into Ableton and then create your remix around it. I've linked to one of my best performing videos where I used this software before, and if you want me to make another one, let me know in the comments below. Oh, we're also giving away a few of this for our Black Friday offer, so remember to sign up. Okay, on to the DAWs. First off, we have FL Studio, which is now available for both Mac and PC, and they've got a big fat discount at the moment. You can see it there, €169 instead of 229. I use Ableton Live personally. They usually have a Black Friday deal on. I haven't heard anything about it so far, so I recommend if you don't have Ableton and you want to, you can check this out next week on Black Friday. And Logic for Mac never do Black Friday deals, so tough luck. Okay, let's go on to samples and presets. First off, for anyone who likes producing melodic house and music like Nora En Pure or EDX or Ben Boma, this sample pack, Cyclopedia 2, is 23 gigabytes of incredible one-shots, MIDI files and loops. The guy that made them, Christian Beathurt, has worked with Nora En Pure and EDX, and you can get 50% off at the moment for Black Friday. Not only that, but you can get an extra 10% off if you use the EDM Tips specific code. And once you get a good sample pack, it will literally last you for years, like 5, 6, 7 years or longer. So top tip I recommend is spend time picking a sample pack that's really good for your genre. invest in it, and that's going to pay dividends in the long run. Some other great samples that have got Black Friday deals at the moment is the F9 audio guys. So that's James from the Freemasons. And if you want really meticulously created and sampled sounds that you can load into things like Contact or the Ableton sampler that have been processed by really high quality old analog equipment, there's nothing out there that's going to beat F9 audio. So I find it's great for specific genres. This F9 kick pack is insane. So many good ways to customize kicks in there. If you like disco, James is a big old disco fan as well. So with F9 audio, I recommend, again, choosing the genre that you are interested in most and then get a sample pack in that specific genre. Next up for samples is Loop Cloud, and at the moment you can get 12 months for the price of 6. This is kind of like Splice, where you can choose different samples, but the beauty of this is you can actually sync it to your project as well. So I've just loaded it up here. Let's listen to this loop and let's try and find a vocal. You also get some plugins in this deal for free as well. So I've got my track in A minor, so I'm going to go minor, I'm going to go A, and let's have a listen to these vocals, see if they sound any good. So it's automatically in time and in tune. That's cool. That works really well with that beat actually. Yeah, so Loop Cloud is great. It's a subscription service, so it's cheap to get, and it's even half price now at the moment. So yeah, check it out. Now, some of the plugins I mentioned today use AI, and I put together my personal favorite list of AI tools we can use as music producers in 2024. So if you want to know how to harness AI, then check out that video. Okay, so let's get on to hardware. First up, let's look at MIDI controllers. You've got these really funky, like lit up piano M's that are available from rolly.com. I'm actually got a couple of these in the post at the moment, so I can't show them to you yet. This one here is from Arturia. I don't think they've got the hardware on offer at the moment. They've just got those synths I showed you earlier, but I'm looking forward to checking these out anyway, and you get 20% off. There's this huge C-board thing that you might have seen the ads for. I haven't used it, but it looks like it would be suitable for people who are really into doing live performances because it's quite expensive. But if you do big live performances, then you could check it out. Okay, next we have, that's the one that I use, by the way, which is right here. You can check that out in Thomann. Oh yeah, and that's to say that Thomann have always got great deals on for Cyber Week as well, and I've got a special affiliate link, so if you do use them, you can get stuff shipped all over the world, and I get a little commission as well, so that really helps me out. Okay, so in terms of audio interface, I've got the Apollo Twin, exactly the one showing on screen at the moment, and they've got a cyber deal there, so it's less than it usually is. It's quite a high-end audio interface, so if you are just starting out in production, I don't recommend it, but if you want to record vocals or record instruments, you can actually run plugins within the hardware itself, which helps take some strain off your computer, and the UAD plugins sound absolutely fantastic as well. That's what I use with this mic. Next, if you are a beginner producer, you cannot go wrong with this. For a Focusrite Scarlett is such a good entry-level audio interface. I used mine for years, and you can get it for 115 euros from Thomann, which is crazy good. Next up, we have Sound ID Reference from SonarWorks, and they've got a lot of Black Friday deals coming up, and you get up to 50% off. Now, I and many of my students use Sound ID, and what it does is basically account for the fact that your room isn't perfect or your headphones aren't perfect in flat response, and then it adjusts your output from your computer to make it sound as flat a response as possible. If you sign up for their mailing list, these offers are available today, and we're actually doing a giveaway on one of these systems over at EDM Tips for Black Friday as well. So if you want to be informed about that, make sure to hit that link below and sign up to our mailing list. As I said, our Black Friday offer is only going to be available to our email subscribers. Okay, next up we have headphones. These are the ones I use, the Sennheiser HD 490 Pros. I absolutely love them because they're super comfortable and they sound great too. I've also got a pair of Sennheiser 650s because I'm a bit of a Sennheiser fanboy, but it doesn't mean they're the best. It just means that I'm used to them and I like using them. Now with hardware, there are usually smaller discounts when it comes to Black Friday and Cyber Monday because hardware costs more to supply than software. So again, I'd recommend going over to Thomann every couple of days because they've got new deals that come on all the time, in fact every day, and you can just see if any good quality headphones pop up there and save yourself a bit of money. Same with monitors as well. I've got a pair of Genelecs, I've also got a pair of Adams. So, they have got some on Cyber Week actually. So it's a good time to get some monitors as well. For me personally, I'd rather spend money on headphones than monitors because you don't have to have your room set up perfectly if you're using headphones. And finally, hardware. Having a really good chair, this was an absolute game changer for me. This one's from FlexiSpot, as is this desk that goes up and down so I can stand up and work sometimes. But investing in a chair for like a few £100, especially on Black Friday when you can get more off, is such a good investment. I used to sit on just a normal wooden chair for years and then my back hurt and I got repetitive strain injuries. So yeah, it's worth investing. And as you can see here, FlexiSpot are running some great deals on their chairs and desks at the moment. Okay, so which are the 3 types of plugins I recommend you don't invest in? The first is if you've been producing for less than 6 months and you don't even know what your stock plugins do, get to know them inside out first, because when you know how a compressor works, it makes more sense to then invest in different types of compressor if you know what they do. The second type of plugin I don't recommend you invest in is if you've already got 1 or 2 of those plugins. So you don't need 10 different EQ plugins. Maybe you need one good EQ like the Pro Q3 and then one analog modeled EQ for a slightly different character. You don't need 5 EQs unless you're a proficient producer and you can really actually hear the difference. And third, if you're tempted by any plugin that claims that it's going to make your music sound amazing, no plugin makes your music sound amazing. That's just the truth. Yes, of course, good plugins like some of the ones we've seen today can help your workflow or they can help enhance your sound slightly, but there's no magic solution where you can just throw a plugin on and suddenly you're a good producer. So it's a much better investment of your time and money to learn how to use the tools rather than just spray and pray when it comes to loading up on deals for Black Friday. Now, as I mentioned, some of the software we looked at today uses AI, and I put together my top AI software for music producers this year in that video. So if you found this one useful, give it a like first, share it with your friends, and then I'll catch you over at that next video. Thanks for watching.